Hi,
Hey,
how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Just trying to stay warm. It's cold.
Yeah?
I live in Wisconsin. It's freezing.
Yeah. I'm in Vancouver, so it's rainy, but oddly warm right now. But I just got back from northern Alberta, and it was like minus 23, so
I haven't been to
cold.
Canada yet, so I would love to come to visit Canada because I have a lot of friends who live in the Montreal and
Yeah,
Vancouver area. So we'll see it on my bucket list to go to Canada someday.
it's a great place. I'm a big fan.
But the only time I've been to Canada was one weekend in college with a group of guys. We went to Niagara Falls.
All right.
That's it.
Yeah, there's a lot more exciting places in Canada than Niagara Falls, but not to knock Niagara Falls, but there's so much more.
For sure. Well, Luke, I wanted to say thank you so much for that really quick connection and contact, being able to find a time to come on to the Cast Chat podcast to talk about your latest movie.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for having me on. I'm excited to talk and excited to share about the movie, so I'm glad this worked out.
Definitely. I'm a couple friends with a couple of the podcasts that you had. I'm friends with Donna, who you
Oh, great.
spoken with yesterday. And I'm also friends with Suspended Unbuttoned, Julie and
Yes,
Laura. So I was like, oh, maybe I should connect to see what happened, So I
it's
tried to
great. I
work
love it.
out with different people, different movie concept, not just Hallmark. It could be Lifetime,
Yeah,
it could be a different platform.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, well, this is my introduction to everybody. It's nice to kind of get to say hi to people and talk about the movie, so it's been a wonderful little circuit. I've been enjoying it.
Definitely. Before we dive into the movie, I want to know a little bit about yourself. Like, what inspired you to become an actor or wanted to have like a complete interest of a different career?
I'm what they call a lifer. I knew since I was a little kid. My folks worked in the industry, and so when I was a little kid, I used to be like a little rugrat on set. So I'd be like running around the set, getting lost, and it just became a place that I associated with like a feeling of home and comfort. But my path, like, I was doing like youth theater as a kid or doing plays at school. I was always engaged and always had an eye for it, always a deep passion for it. I did a couple plays in school that were really important to me, like transformative as far as like the experience of them. And so I went off to university to study theater, and I had a big theater career for years, which meant the world to me, and I loved it. And I got to do these amazing things here in Canada. And then, yeah, it's only relatively recently that I've transitioned to film and television. There was just so much that I wanted to try and to do, and I really love the craft of acting. I'm deeply passionate about it, and there was something about how the work shifted for me on stage versus what it meant to show up on set, and how that changed my approach to work. And that's where I feel like I'm in my work right now. It's always just a different stage of practice. It's kind of selfish in a way. I just love working on the craft.
Exactly that. I like to see like how actors shift from theater, Broadway, or small production, and then they shift into like TV or movies, and both they're not the same, but they're similar in some ways. Because Broadway on the stage, you could travel from one state to another state, while
Yeah.
filming is just one location and one whole movie or TV series. So it's very fascinating to hear your experience and what's different, what's easier, or what's challenging.
I mean, it's a lot of different things. I mean, like one of the big things, like just right off the bat, is you're doing a show like 8 shows a week, So, one of my favorite phrases is a craftsperson can build a maze, but an artist can build a maze and then get lost in it. And it's your ability as an actor to discover the play for the first time every night. But what I love about film and TV is this is it. We get this little moment to shoot. And so when we're doing these, romance movies or these true crime films, typically we're shooting quite fast. And that can be really challenging for a lot of people. For me, I love it because it reminds me of being on stage where you just have this one take in front of this audience and you go. And that's it. That's the show that they get. That's going to be in their memory for as long as they have it. And so that forcing you to just be present and alive in the moment, that kind of forced, right? I'm just going to leap and let's find out what happens as we fall. I've been loving that, and that's really been thrilling working on camera.
You have a preference in filming. I know you like filmed a couple of movies over the years. Do you have a preference? Because I know the two movies that I watched was Accused, the Karen Reed story, and I was Lorena Bobbitt. I recognize you from some other. What is that movie that I researched? I was like, oh my gosh. Okay, okay. So what was the genre preference? It's more of like true crime stories that are based on true stories that are really raw and really deep. I'm a huge fan of true crime and true stories and documentaries, not just because someone was killed or someone
Mhm.
was innocent or not proven. It's just fascinating just to see how the whole system works. The police,
Yeah.
the crime, or everything. I'm not looking out like she didn't really do it. And what I mean, so it's really fascinating. So I wanted to hear from you what your preference, what you enjoy doing more. Have you ever thought of going outside like romance, rom com?
I love romance. I love holiday. I love them. It's so funny that you've seen this part of my career, but I've been very fortunate. I bounce back and forth. But yeah, I've kind of become known as the guy who's like the heavy hitter drama guy in this world. And I love it. I take that on with a big sense of responsibility. Especially when it's a true crime, when there's a real story. Like for the Lorena Bobbitt story, Lorena was on set. We're working with her, and she came, and what we showed in that movie was her life experience, and she was finally getting her voice, her story out there. And that's you take that on for Accused, the Karen Reed story, like stepping into John O'Keefe. This is a man who recently lost his life, who's left behind family and friends, and there's that's always in the back of your mind when you step into these stories. And so, it's wonderful to have, I mean, as an actor, the opportunity to step into something that's so immediate, and that's rewarding. But just as a performer and as an actor, I love the romances. I love the holiday movies. I love playing tricksters and mischievous guys. I've been blessed with a bit of a range, and I love it all. But man, I do love a holiday movie.
Definitely, so if Hallmark offers you a award, so hopefully you will take a award for working for Hallmark eventually.
Yeah, well, that would be wonderful. I do love them. My dad does a lot of work for them, so it's definitely. And I have friends who do a lot of work for them, so I have a lot of love for what they do.
Yeah, definitely. For those words, whatever words you take, how to do popular stuff, like if it's a very serious, heavy movie, like you mentioned, the true stories of the two movies, how to do popular words for John O'Keefe, the boyfriend, and John Barber, the wonderful, abusive husband.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Like the difference between the two of those roles was, I mean, like just fundamentally how much information was available to me. Uh, I basically off of the documentaries, watching news clippings from that, had a little bit of family footage about John O'Keefe. There wasn't that much video footage of him. And obviously I can't go and meet him. So what I really went off of was when people spoke about him, when his friends spoke about him, I really tried to listen to what he gave them, how they described him. I'm not going to do a John impression. I'm not an impressionist. But what I did notice was that they spoke about how loyal and how funny and how he liked to make people laugh and how he took care of the people in his life. So I tried to bring that to the story, and that's what I tried. And but with uh, with Lorena Bobbitt, uh, that's there's a lot more video footage, and there's a lot more details that's we have some time between that. So I like to do all my research. I like to with what the time I have, I like to bathe myself in information and find little things that I find exciting and detail a gesture, like with John Bobbitt. There were little moments in his backstory that I found really compelling, or I like the fact that he liked the Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. So there was a little scene that got cut from Lorena Bobbitt where they go dancing, but I just started dancing like Jean-Claude Van Damme was dancing in one of his movies, just because I imagined that that was kind of the role model at the time in John's life. So you find these things that kind of fill you up, but when you go to set, I find the best thing to do is just let it go. And you show up and you have a scene partner and you have a director and you just try to breathe into the moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I should really give kudos and applaud the people all over who take on the world for very important movies or important stories because it's very important to get it out there and let everybody else like be the judge of what really happened or what do you think happened. So both of them were
Yeah.
really good movies and my heart was just like I can't believe it. No, no. No, and it's really amazing how people take into the world because I know some actors or some people take their job seriously or they get into a deep hole called method acting. I've heard so many things about method acting. It could be a good thing, but it also could be a bad thing because
Hmm.
it can actually change you or you can't get out of it. So for those two words, I'm just kidding. It's a really important word, but also not a very good person role, like for
Yeah.
Lauren and Bobbitt movie, but for the Karen Reed story, it's like in the air because he's a good guy,
Yeah.
but relationship problems or something like that, something missing. So how did you able to disconnect from your world once the movie was over to become Luke yourself?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I learned this a lot of this on stage, but like John playing, like in doing Lorena Bobbitt, I really had to lean on this idea that you show up to work and you step into the work and then you leave the work, and leaving the work behind at the end of the day was so important. I mean, like in that movie I did horrible things. The what we had to show on camera was things that were entered into the court case, that talked about, that were legally specific, and doing those things felt awful. I hated it, but I had an amazing team. We had an intimacy coordinator, we had a stunt coordinator, we had a brilliant director, and I had a scene partner that I really trusted. And taking the time to, we went out to dinner together just so that we could get to know each other more, build rapport, build trust, right? And I think I I used to do a lot of stage combat stuff, and I find in stage combat, the stricter the boundaries, the safer and the more dangerous the work can feel, right? I got stabbed in the eye one time on stage in front of 1,800 people, right? Because somebody was just loose with the targets. And then there's a part of you that's trying to protect yourself, and it's just hard. Same thing with scenes of intimacy or violence in that regard, right? Like as a human being, I, Luke, never want to hurt anybody. But I can trust the framework of what we built as a team, as a creative ensemble, that we can execute that specifically, and that makes me feel safe. But then I have to let it go at the end of the day. Otherwise, yeah, you open these door to these some parts when you're into those moments, and it can carry with you. It can affect. I've got a beautiful wife and a beautiful son, and the last thing I want to do is bring that energy home. I'd rather let that go and let the energy at home nourish me and bring me back to my life. I think that balance becomes important. I know other people they want to go full out. And you know, I've played around with that, but I don't find for me the work gets better, just my life gets worse.
But yeah, like for me, I'm a teacher. I teach deaf-and hearing students in the public school. So every day, something I happen to something I feel connected with my students, and I want the bad way that I gotta leave everything. I gotta leave work. I gotta leave all the problems here. Go home. I have two teenagers, and I have to
Oh,
go like school all day long, all night long. You can never stop. So I never stop acting.
yeah. Yeah, so to have a little space, just carving any space to be like, look, that all stays outside of this. And then you come in, you're there, and then you leave it behind. I mean, I think for work and for life, I find that kind of stuff really important. And yeah, I listen to a lot of music in my trailer. I dance, you know, do anything, read a good book, something that just brings the energy, as in like, oh great, put on my clothes at the end of the day, wear this coat that I love, bam, I'm back into me, I'm back into my body. Let it go.
Okay, Karen Reed, a cool Karen Reed movie. It was very tough. It was very intense. I was just watching it and just trying to like, wow. And how to do approach, how to do get the role of John Keefe, and what was the experience like making the movie alongside with the wonderful, amazing Kate Cassidy. I'm a huge fan of her from the Green Arrow and a couple of
Yeah,
other movies, but she's phenomenal. And
it's
I'm just
phenomenal.
watching, I was trying to figure out, I was like, is she really do it or not? I'm still, I've been researching and investigating the whole case after the movie. I'm still
It's
learning. I'm still like, it's really powerful and the performance,
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, working with her was an absolute dream. She was so wonderful. You know, we didn't have that chance to get to know each other really before we landed on set. So there's this big sense of risk. You're like coming to work, wanting to do the best job you can. Don't know if you're gonna get along with the person who you're working opposite of. And thankfully, she's incredible. She's so professional. She's so, you know, humble and fantastic to work with. And what I love, she just really cares about the work. We just we just connected on that. So, you know, we're backstage. I mean, not backstage. We're in the green room. We're discussing. You know, we're working over things. We're just taking the time to build a level of trust and rapport between ourselves so that we can try to fill out this relationship so it feels like a relationship. I mean, the challenging thing playing John is, you know, so much of the drama of the case is in the complications of the justice system and the trial and what happened that night. But that's really not John's story. You know, John's a good man with kids and a job and a relationship. And he's going through the ebbs and flows of a relationship and the struggles of raising kids and keeping the roof on. And you know, like, you know, he's in a different world. He doesn't know he's headed towards a tragedy. And that was hard for me, you know, because, you know, as a curious person, like I think anybody else who looks at this trial, it's impossible not to get taken into this, you know, rabbit hole of what is going on, right? Like any way you look at it, it's a fact. There's a reason why this movie exists. There's a reason why people want to dive into it more. Like there's a lot here that, and a lot of questions. But John's story is the story of a relationship and eventually a tragedy. So I just tried to make sure that I was engaged in a relationship and being specific with the ebbs and flows of what that meant. And then showing up with Katie, I think Katie and I had a specific chemistry, a specific rapport that was, you know, informed by the story, but was realized in kind of the uniqueness of our dynamics together when we got together.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I caught a bit of information with the podcast with a couple of my friends that you had to like lay in the snow. And
Oh
I'm like
man.
looking at the movie. I was like, okay, I need to ask him about that because I like to pick about the movie because sometimes Hallmark movies fake snow, don't no snow, we shot in the
Oh
summertime.
yeah, man. We're shooting
Lifestyle
them
is
in July,
different.
you know? It's yeah.
So yeah, I was just curious like like the behind the scenes, like how to do like cooperate with the snow and how was the craft with that. because when I was watching, I was like, okay, what am I? I'm missing something here. I'm like, did she back up into him? I'm like, where did he go? Because it looked like she was driving, dropping him off. I missed the whole maybe 10 seconds that he was walking away or going behind the car. She hit and she had no idea. So I was just like, wait a minute, why are they taking so long to shoot the snowplow going over the snow? I was like, in the snow. So I had to go back and watch it again.
Oh,
I was like,
yeah.
oh,
Yeah. I mean, if you solve that question, you solve the whole thing, right? Like, but as far as like the snow, I mean, we shot this, I think this was November. It's cold. Uh, it was night. And, there is some movie magic for sure. I mean, they do a lot of different things. I mean, you've seen this for sure in a lot of the Christmas movies. They have big foam rolls they lay out. They actually brought in snow covered things. They also shoot like this soapy foam, shoot it up in the sky, and it falls like snow. It looks beautiful. But I was laying in snow. That's not fake snow. That's real snow. And importantly, I found this out on the day. They had fish ice, which is what they use in supermarkets to keep fish extra cold all the day. And my hand was in the fish ice, and I was like in excruciating pain. And like, I just wanted to stay focused and stay in the present moment. But again, like my eyes were covered with prosthetics to match, the autopsy photos that we were building off of, is how his body was discovered. And I'm laid down. They walk me from the house. They put this on my eyes, so I'm walking down. They're talking to me. They lay me down. They build a little area for me, and I lay down, and I'm in the snow, and I'm wearing what he was wearing, which was practically nothing that would have been appropriate for the weather. And they go, okay, we're gonna like we walk through you. What's gonna happen? And they start shoveling snow on me. And my hand is, I'm not wearing gloves. My hands are actually in the snow, like the fish ice. So like I thought I was a tough guy, and then all of a sudden, like 30 seconds in, I'm like, I'm losing it. I'm gonna crack. I'm gonna crack. Like the pain was getting to me, and then they shoot it, and it was one long take. So her getting out of the car, her finding John, her trying to do CPR on me. I'm lying there, eyes closed, trying not to breathe with my chest and not to like, do anything like that. And she's compressing my chest and trying to like breathe into my mouth, and I'm trying not to like laugh or go like this. So now I'm like losing air between the thing, and then they coming over, and one of the takes, we did two takes, they take the scissors and they cut me like the shirt open. So now I'm exposed there in the snow. The paramedics are coming and doing the thing. They lift me onto a gurney. That's all one take. And it just became so real, like
wow.
through my closed eyes, like the flashing lights of the ambulance, the sound of the ambulance, the sound of tears, the calm voice of the paramedics trying to solve a problem. It became so real. And that was heavy. Thankfully the crew was amazing. They got it in two takes. I wasn't, I've done movies where I've been out in like the freezing cold all day, like your ears are going numb. You're trying not to shake too much because you're freezing. You can't talk because your jaw, this was not that. They were so professional. They were so great. But yeah, that was a little less movie magic than I anticipated.
Yeah, for sure. Those literally was like pretty much all in like one take for that.
Yeah, we did two takes, and then they had like a dummy of me for a lot of like the wide shots, which was very kind of them. Because I mean, they could have had me lay there, but I think I would have just been crying eventually. So they,
Right, I
they
really would
let,
have loved that because you said a blackface and who knows, but just wow, that's amazing. Thank you for explaining that process
yeah.
for that post.
Oh
Wow.
yeah, it's like there's two heads, right? Like there's one head, I just love being on sets. I love movie making, so it's such a joy. You come to set, they got this area blocked off. You see the ambulances they have the fire truck. You see like the magical snow, and they've built this like they took this home and they built this beautiful snowy area. They've imported all this snow to make it's so fun, when you're on a set. Like I feel like a little kid. But and then you step into the storytelling, and then that became, that's when it feels heavy. And there was a lot of respect on set, so it felt held well.
Yeah, definitely. So out of those two movies, Kelly Reed movie and the Lorena Bobbitt movie, when you found out that you were getting the role, unfortunately, you were not able to connect with John O'Keefe.
Hmm.
But and then or Bob, John Bobbitt. So, and how to do like, so you do a lot of research and you do a lot of documentary. So how would you able to build some kind of connection with the character and try to make sure you portray it authentically without any fake or fake
Yeah.
word because it's a true story, both of them.
Yeah. I mean, for the John Bobbitt story, I there was a lot of one of the challenging things about playing a quote unquote, I mean, not a quote unquote, but when you play a bad guy, when you play someone who's doing bad things, uh, a person is never is you don't play them as a bad guy. They have like typically you're in a different version of a scene. Like the way you're looking through the world is just different. It may be an abusive, violent scene, but in their minds, they're trying to correct something or trying to take. And so that's the hard part of finding where they're coming from, of what matters to them, why this boundary is being crossed, or why they're crossing the boundary, what they think is happening. And in the story of John, that was weird. I didn't want to reach out to John. That was a choice because this was about Lorena's story, and I wanted Lorena to have her moment to share what was important to her. And she told me I got the part because I auditioned for the part, and she said you could see why she fell in love with John in the audition. And that was really important to her, was that it was a relationship that soured and went horribly awry. But it was a relationship that started with love. And John's past is horrific. His early childhood, he's experienced a lot of trauma and abuse. Uh, and he had ways of coping with that, that were like a band-aid to the problem. And when those coping mechanisms went away, he spiraled out of control and has done some horrible things in his life, heinous things. So I had to try to understand how those early days affected his present moments and what it was like to lose the structure and foundation of his life. Mannerisms helped, behavior, watching someone, the engine of how someone moves, where their voice comes from, where their movement in their body comes from. I find that informative. Uh, yeah, but he reached out to me. I've never spoken about this. But yeah, he reached out to me, and I didn't give it much mind because he had his chance, he had his time in the spotlight, and it wasn't his turn anymore.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, I like to watch. I had an interview back in, I think it was last year with, I can't remember the movie. It was like a prisoner in the jail and a cop who worked in jail with like a guard, a prisoner guard or whatever that they got together. So I can't remember the name of the movie, but it was very Adam Mayfield and I can't remember the lady's name. Whatever. But then it was like a real connection though. And he also tried to reach out to the printer. But of course there's a lot of legal or there's a lot of safety issues or whatever. So
Yeah,
I told him stop contacting. We're gonna go with it. I felt the movie was good, but it wasn't enough. Because like you said, some actors or some people have a choice reach out and try to like not build a connection or a relationship but just to get the feel of who the person is because
yeah,
you want to portray that person or character the right way,
yeah,
respectful way. Because if you should show up to work, I'm playing this guy, and you should like
yeah.
play it off without any knowledge or experience. So it's really nice to see where everybody comes from when they're doing a true story movie to come to life.
Yeah. Yeah, the big thing for me, and this is part of where I'm at in my journey as an actor and a storyteller, is I really try to find motivation of how they see the world, what they see when they look at the people around them, what they want. Mannerisms, exact vocalizations, that's not as important to me when I'm telling a story. I feel like when you see why someone works, when you see how they relate to the world, that's that's what I try to bring to the story. Um, yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I don't know. That's what's important to me when I watch stories is, everybody has a unique worldview, and I try to bring my understanding of their worldview, of that worldview, to the story.
Yes, definitely. I mean, that's all I have for you tonight. So I really appreciate it. One final question. What next for you? What is your goal for 2026 in acting or on the stage that you want or hope to accomplish?
Ooh, I mean, it's funny. Like all my goals are like going snowboarding with my family more often. But acting wise, I'm in. I make a little appearance in a really exciting show coming out this summer. There's a show called Elle, which is the Legally Blonde prequel, which Reese Witherspoon executive produces, and I have a fun character in that. So I'm really excited for that to come out and for the audience to see that. And yeah, I mean, like personally, I'd love to do, coming off of this in particular, I'd love to go back into the romance or the holiday world. I find that such an exciting place to be just as a person. It makes me really happy. But I'm pretty new to Vancouver. I've been here for a couple years, and it's been like 2 years now. So it's been a big introduction to a lot of new people. And I look forward to continuing my relationships with people here and seeing what kind of work comes out of it. It's been very rewarding so far. So I hope to keep building off of it.
Definitely. So I'll pitch in for how much. You need to come and check the guy out. Put him in
Let 'em know I'm here.
the party wall or a lead wall, whatever. I should pitch in Hallmark for you. No problem.
I love it. Well, yeah, do what you can. I'll come back on the show. We'll have another talk next year.
Definitely, definitely, absolutely. Maybe we'll do a co-podcast with Donna and then we'll just go
I
all
love it.
about the
I love
Hallmark.
it. I look forward to it.
Do you have like a dream role or the role or part that you really want to play either in a movie or on stage?
Yeah, yeah, there is actually. And I didn't have one for a long time. Like on stage, I used to be obsessed with the role of Prince Hal, Henry V. That was something that I had my eyes on for a long time. But on camera, there's a true story that took place in Vancouver that I've become obsessed with. And it's a dark story. It's about corrupt police officers in the 1950s and 60s, and it ended up with this horrific murder-suicide. But it looks like the forensics evidence looked like a cover-up. And so there's this story of these police officers who were robbing banks and these kind of like Wild West cowboys. And this one fellow, this one police officer, he was on one hand this amazing family man, 6 kids, devoted husband, stand-up police officer. On the other hand, he was, a complete bandit, armed robber, and he committed one of the largest heists in Canadian history. And it's a story that I haven't seen yet. Nobody's told it, and I want to tell it, and I want to play that part. It's a rich, complex, challenging role, and I'd love to be the one to do it.
That's interesting. That's really interesting. Yeah, I like all range of movies, whether it's rom com, Hallmark, whatever, but also I have to really fascinated interest in true crime or documentaries or if I see something happen in the world and they're making a movie and I watch or buy
Yeah,
a book or I just learn so much and people are like, what do you think on that? Nah, she didn't do it. Now, how do you know? Have you read her book? She didn't do it. There's so many gaps. There's just so many. I thought, you should be a true crime. Whatever. And then, no, I should stick to teaching. Ah, no.
yeah, yeah.
So again, thank you so much, Luke. I really appreciate the podcast chat, and it gives me a little bit of an oversight of different perspectives of you and
Hmm.
your experience playing a true role, a
Hmm.
true story of both of them. Unfortunate and sudden was termed, and life goes on. So thank you for your time tonight.
Oh, it was a
Coming
pleasure.
on
Thanks
the
so much for having me
podcast.
on. I look forward to coming on again in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you. Hopefully sometime for the next year or 2 years, We'll be talking again if you have a new project coming out.
I look forward to it.
All right, thank
All
you.
right.
Have a
Thank you
wonderful
very
evening.
much. Thank you. Bye.